Welcome to Between the Sheets, the podcast where we're going to cover a variety of topics related to sexual health and wellness. I'm Dr. Stephanie Zwonitzer, your host. I'm a nurse practitioner and have been in practice since 2017. I have my Doctor of Nursing Practice degree, and I specialize in urology and sexual health. I am so excited to explore all of the various topics related to sexual health and wellness with you in a fun, spicy, educational, and non-judgmental manner. So come on, let's get between the sheets. Hey, welcome back to Between the Sheets. I have a guest with me today. Jo Goddard is here. She is all the way from Australia, where she is a leading pleasure and intimacy mentor for women and couples. She is the owner and CEO at I'm Her Women's Wellbeing and Holistic Therapies. She is a Reiki Master, a Ka Huna Bodywork therapist, I guess. Is that right? Therapist. And she also works in sacral somatic therapy. So welcome, Jo. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Thank you. So good to be here. And it's pronounced
Absolutely.
Ka Huna Bodywork. It's a Hawaiian influenced massage therapy. Yeah.
Awesome. So in your line of work, you're using these various Eastern medicine type techniques versus Western medicine to help women with healing and having better sex lives, overall lives. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. So I work with the body, and I work with the sensual sexual energy of the body to help women kind of 35 and over, especially maybe mothers or career women who have gone ahead and done all the things and have, lived the shoulda, woulda, conditioned lifestyle, and then realized along the way that, they forgot to really prioritize their connection with who they are as feminine beings. So my work with the body and understanding the physical and energetics of the body, I help women re-explore who they are as physical feminine beings, but also understanding and mapping pleasure within their bodies as well. Empowering women to know themselves means that they're more empowered with what embodied consent is, and they can say their yeses and their nos based on what they actually know about themselves. And it empowers their partners as well to understand how to really hold space for them in a way that breeds deeper connection and intimacy, rather than that performance that we sometimes fall into of what a good girl or a good wife does. And then that actually festers sometimes resentment and even more disconnection. So yeah, I use body work to really ripple out into the full life of women and couples. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah, I call this word finding your joy, or hunting for your joy, because in my world, joy is the journey of you. So it's about exploring everything that you've been on, everything that your body has been through and holds stories of, and peeling back and finding the blessings in that and the learnings and the lessons, and then moving on.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So let's talk about the pleasure part of it. So you're helping women, through these different body works to find what brings them pleasure and help them, I imagine, be able to communicate that to a partner. How does that part of it work? How does the finding pleasure part work?
Yeah. So through the body work that I do, we explore something called connected touch and Yoni massage. So connected touch is the journey of touch over the body, including erogenous zones. In my work, I do not believe in going on the journey of self-discovery and completely omitting the sensual sexuality aspects of self. So something like a connected touch experience is the mapping of how the body enjoys to receive touch. And I like to use an approach called elemental approach. So exploring what does a grounded touch feel like in the body, that really deep earthing. What is fire when there's more friction, when you're dancing between the pleasure-pain barrier? What does that feel like in the body? Can you explore that dynamic and know that you're still safe? So we're really communicating with the central nervous system as well. Something like water, the never-ending flow of water, and where can that go in the body, and all the way through to that oxytocin air-like touch. And the beautiful thing with the connected touch experience is so many women find that the most incredible thing they get from that is they get to receive. The whole experience is dedicated to them receiving. There's nothing for them to do. If they feel turn on in their body, it is turn on purely of and for themselves. No one is holding an expectation for them. And I've even had women say that the level of receiving was so profound because even as a mother, they haven't had anyone touch them without needing something, because the kids come for a hug, or they come to pull your distraction into something else. The partners come because, they're trying to instigate maybe some intimacy. Friends and colleagues come and they give us a hug, and sometimes that's just a social norm or it's something that they're needing, whereas a connected touch experience is the exploration of pleasure and receiving with nothing else. And that can be really transformational for women who haven't received purely for the art of receiving. And then for women who are willing to really explore themselves even more, with the Yoni massage, it brings in the internal massage for women. So we're exploring the vulva and the vagina, and we're, again, continuing to map pleasure. But this can also be where, when pleasure is coming back online in the body, sometimes we need to move through the symptoms of the disconnection, whatever the reasons why we've disassociated or disconnected. Sometimes what we need to move through is bringing numbness back online to feeling something, right? Or discomfort or a restriction or a go away energy, instead of it immediately becoming all about receiving and surrendering. Sometimes we got to move through this piece of resistance, and again, teaching the body safety in receiving, safety in pleasure. And what is so important is this concept of embodied consent as well. So in the moment, not just the information you've been given on, why you might be coming for a really intimate experience, but what is the messages in the body right now? Is it a yes? Is it a no? Is it a maybe? How can we hold space for that? And sometimes, again, this is the first time women are allowed to explore what is truly their consent in that moment, because they are more online with their body. So I have women from post-birth trauma, physical and sexual abuse. I've had women in their 70s who have lived a beautiful, long life, but they've done so in service to everybody else, and they've been so disconnected. And so I've got women in their 70s going, I've never felt like I've honored my body, honored my sex center. And they're having these first-time experiences, in their 70s and beyond. So it's a huge, incredibly beautiful body of work for all women who are willing to get to know themselves in this deeper way. And I love, sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, I'm a huge proponent. We've done episodes on masturbation and self-touch and learning yourself and all those things, because it is so important. You can't tell your partner what you like and what brings you joy and pleasure if you haven't figured that out for yourself. Your partner might enhance some of that or teach you some new things, but you can learn yourself very well. And, I think, like you said about the trauma and stuff, some of us need to work through that and get past that to allow our bodies to enjoy that pleasure and not clench up at the idea of that or the memories of things. So I think this is great. And for people that don't know, Yoni does refer to the female genitalia. Do you want to talk about a little bit the background of that?
Yeah, so in Western culture, we don't have a word that encompasses the entirety of the women's sex center, because the vagina is just the internal and the vulva is the external. So we have borrowed from Sanskrit the word yoni, which has a loose translation to sacred cave. So it's a word that honors the sacredness of the female sex center. And, you know, when we look and explore then the male component, the lingam as well, right? We invite the lingam into the sacred cave, right? So it really, for me anyway, it just the word yoni and the meaning of it, it changes the dynamic and the relationship of penetrative sex with the, you know, penis and vagina.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's great. And I also think, you know, it's interesting because so many people only think about sex from a penetrative standpoint. And there's so much more that brings us joy and pleasure in that erogenous zone and throughout your entire body. And so I love that this yoni work and body work allows you to explore more than just the penetrative sex.
yeah. I've been going on a little bit of a reflection myself over the last few weeks about why is touch so important to me personally, but like it's the foundation of everything that I do professionally as well. And I was reflecting back on when years and years ago when I read the 5 love languages and how the physical touch is being a love language. And I think what I have come to discover is that physical touch isn't a love language. It is a human survival tool, right? Can you imagine if we were born and we weren't touched? How do we instigate a sense of safety in our body? How do we know where we fit with our parents, within our community, with our friends? Touch isn't just something we, you know, just don't enjoy. I'm not a physical touch person. That's not how I express love. It's a human survival tool.
It is.
And if we struggle with physical touch, it's not that that's just not our love language. It means that there's something in our journey that we need to explore. Why are we so resistant to physical touch? Because if we can't allow ourselves to enjoy the physical experience of being in our human body, how do we know ourselves? We're here on this earth. Yes, I believe we're spiritual beings, but we're spiritual beings here to have a human experience. We need to understand the language of our body. And when we do that, when we come online, that's our libido, right? Has the words I do in it. Right? How can we give our I do, our consent, if we don't know ourselves? And when we allow ourselves to explore touch and expand that into intimate touch and pleasure touch, we know ourselves in such an incredible way that in my lived experience and in my clients' lived experience, that's how we start to quantum leap, because we're in our bodies. We have the capacity to communicate safety to our central nervous system. We lessen our resistance to discomfort because we have explored within our body and through our pleasure the pain-pleasure barrier. We might have edged into pain and discomfort, but known that we're safe, right? And then all of a sudden, when life presents us with challenges outside of the bedroom and outside of pleasure, you know, intimacy moments, when life presents us with these moments of discomfort, we have a core cellular memory that we are safe in discomfort. We are safe in our bodies. And we can explore these new opportunities, even though we feel uncertain. We can explore them knowing that we're safe. We're gathering more intel. We're feeding our body with more information, and we're expanding our capacity to keep going and growing. And that has been transformational in my life and in my relationship as well. If I can give all of that information about myself into my relationship, then my partner knows how to show up. My partner knows how to lead me because I know where I am and who I am, and the vulnerable parts of me are witnessed by him, and he can lead me and hold me and pull me into even more opportunities for self-exploration, pleasure exploration, and I can
Yeah.
hold the same space for him as well.
Yeah, and I think, as I'm listening to you talk here, I'm just reflecting back on when we went through our pandemic, right? And I'm not sure exactly how you guys handled things in Australia, but in the United States, we were told don't touch each other, don't go around each other, keep your distance, all these things. And we saw dramatic increases in depression, anxiety, suicide, all of these things. And you think, man, that touch, that connection is so important in our everyday life. It's exponentially important in our intimate relationships, and learning that is just so important in how it affects, I mean, it's a ripple effect. It affects every area of our life when we don't get enough of that physical touch.
Absolutely. And I part of me believes it was so easy for, when I say easy, I mean the collective. We all went on our
Mhm.
individual journeys, but collectively it was so easy to go, oh, yes, that must be the truth. We don't touch.
Mhm.
Because, and this was my journey too, stop touching yourself. We don't do that in private. Hide away,
Mhm.
right? So we were
Yep.
already taught not to touch ourselves,
Mhm.
right? So when it's
Yep.
like, stay away and don't touch each other, yeah, okay, that makes sense, because the right thing to do is not to touch. To touch is
Yeah.
bad, right? So we
Right.
already had a foundational belief system collectively that we don't touch.
Yeah.
I was a 7-year-old girl who explored pleasure because it felt good, until I had a parent say, oh, I hope you're not doing that. Right? And it's like, oh,
Yep.
okay. And so I still did it, but I did it with shame clouding it.
Right. Right.
Right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, anything in
Yeah.
this world that is built on causing separation is
Mhm.
not the truth. If you are being taught to separate yourself from knowing your body, if you are being taught to separate yourself from your community,
Mhm.
is that actually the truth? Is
Mm.
that if in terms of truth, what's aligned with you? Is that
Yeah.
true? Mm.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I like too the energy exchange. Everybody has different spiritual and religious feelings and beliefs and all those things. For me personally, learning about the energy exchanges between humans. I mean, I think I've always known on some level about that, but in the last several years of kind of exploring different energies and different ideas that are out there, both holistically and, old medicine, new medicine, all the things, trying to learn and expand that about this energy that you can exchange good and bad. And so who you allow into your inner circle and to touch you, especially in those intimate ways, it really made me refocus on there is no sex shaming, there is no slut shaming, there's none of that in my vocabulary anyways. But for me personally, it allowed me to realign who and what I want in my innermost circle of my body, because there is that energy exchange and I want it to be a positive thing. I don't want it to let someone with a negative energy or something that's going to take away from me get into my yoni.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we all should allow ourselves permission to explore in whatever way feels right, the ways in which we
Mhm.
have ownership over our body and the ways in which we express that. And
Yeah.
when I reflect on just that in my own journey as well, I was married for, gosh, I think about 14 years.
Mhm.
And probably in the last 3 to 4 years before we separated, I was feeling like, okay, something needs to shift. This feels a bit out of
Mhm.
balance. But my ex-husband gave me the most amazing orgasms. And so part of
Mm.
me, I don't know why, but part of my psyche was like, the sex is really good. If I leave him, I
Yeah.
leave good sex, right?
Mhm.
I thought, because he was the first partner that I orgasmed with, I was like, oh no,
Mhm.
this is it, right?
Yeah.
So if I leave
Right.
him, I'm back to bad orgasms. And it was
Yeah.
interesting. And it's when we separated, the first thing that we did, we didn't actually separate, we explored an open marriage to kind
Mhm.
of see, did that
Yeah.
create the energy shift we needed? And I'll never forget one of the partners I had during that time. Um, was great sex and I orgasmed. And I'm like, oh, I own my orgasms. I own my body and my, you know, who I give it to. And I can trust that if I give of myself, I'm doing so in a way because it feels good and it feels aligned, and therefore it's going to be good sex. But I had this story, and it was a story, and my ex and I had, you know, journeyed a few things, and we'd had a few bumps where body boundaries had been crossed, and there was a lot of pain and a lot of healing to move through from my marriage. But to have an experience where it was like, oh, no, if I want good sex, then I make aligned choices. It's going to happen. And like my now partner, like if I had good sex with my ex-husband, I have fucking phenomenal sex.
Yes, I love it.
With my now partner, because I know me, because I know I know what I consent to. I'm not waiting for someone to give it to me. People don't give me orgasms. I allow them to be experienced in my body, and that was huge. And I think the more spaces that we can have, whether it's friendship circles, whether it's mentoring experiences, whatever, listening to podcasts, go to those places where you are constantly given permission to exist and explore your body in the ways that feel true for you. I want to exist in a world where you know how to turn up your turn on, I know how to turn up mine, and everyone else does, and just the energy of the spaces that we occupy. We don't have to be meeting up and having orgies, but we can collectively, we're all raising our vibration.
Yes.
Right? And then rippling out, and it's just phenomenal. It's life, it's planet changing.
Yes, absolutely. I was very similar in, you know, my early 20s and such, thinking that I was having, you know, decent orgasms or was faking it till I made it kind of thing, like trying to figure all that out. And then I know my late 20s, early 30s, I started to learn my own body and what worked for me. And then I could exchange that with someone, and I learned how to communicate. I learned how that this is something that is pleasurable and is allowed, you know, like when you grow up and you're taught to, you know, sex is only between a married man and a married woman, and you don't talk about it, and you don't, you know, do it before you're married and all those things. And you grow up very conservatively. You don't think that you are allowed to explore those things. And when you accept the fact that you are and should, then all of a sudden you learn not only yourself, but how to please others and to share your pleasure with others. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing. And to have phenomenal sex is wonderful. And I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. When so in addition to the actual body work, I teach a lot of anatomy of pleasure workshops as well. So, you know, not every woman and couple I work with is ready to explore the body work with me one-on-one. But they will come for an information session, and then they'll go home and kind of apply the teachings in their own way. And this anatomy of pleasure workshop, it takes it back to ground zero. We pretend like we've never had sex education in our lives at all, because a lot of what we have had is rubbish, or it serves somebody else's agenda. So we just come back and we explore the physical anatomy, how that maps into the pleasure anatomy, how the energy meridians then allow that to move through the body. We have a really deep look at everything. And then these women go away and they explore, and I'll get messages of like, oh my God, look, I've had a client who sent me a photo of her dildo and her squirt patch, saying, oh my God, I've just found the right spots. Look what I did. I'm so proud of my puddle. And I'm like, I am so proud of your puddle too.
I love it.
This is amazing.
That's great. Yes, I love that.
And what happened is, and I'm combining like stories here, so that's like an example of what women are discovering just for themselves. But it's the way in which it up-levels what we permit in our lives through partners and relationships. Because if we understand how to turn on our turn-on, right, and that becomes the base level foundation. Like if I know my masturbation rituals, my self-pleasure rituals are so juicy and incredible. And if that's the baseline, anyone who comes into my world meets that or raises that, right?
Yeah.
And so I will never forget, I had this one person back when I was exploring the open marriage, where he was, touching me and getting me all turned on, and it was working. And then he was stimulating, I think, somewhere anyway. And I was like, oh, could you just just adjust it this way? And I was giving him tips, and he took so much offense to that.
Mm-hmm.
He saw it as an immediate kick into his masculinity wounds because he was doing it wrong, and I was chastised. I was putting him down for it, right?
Yeah.
But no, I was coming in as an empowered woman saying, I want you to give me the pleasure I know my body wants to experience.
Yeah.
Here is some information on how to do that, right?
Right. Here's your guidebook.
And once we know ourselves and we know what we deserve, and we've created a pleasure platform for ourselves, when somebody comes in and is triggered by that, it's very easy and quickly to see where the misalignments are, and we can stop giving of ourselves into spaces where they aren't actually going to uplift us. In fact, over time, we might find they drain us. So, knowing ourselves changes everything.
Yeah. It really does. It's amazing. And I love that, not only are you learning about yourself and bringing your own pleasure, but you're elevating your relationship too by being able to communicate what works best for you. And I know when I'm with someone that I am offering pleasure to, and I can tell that they are getting pleasure out of it, I'm more excited and I'm more into it. When you're with someone who isn't enthusiastic, who you're not really sure what you're doing is working for them because they're not giving you any feedback, things like that, it's not an enjoyable event. It's not fun to be a part of that. And so it is really good to know your own and to have confidence that when someone says, hey, I really like it this way, that's okay. It's not against me. It's saying, let's make our interaction that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the consequence of my work working with women who are 35 and over is often they're in relationships with men 35 and over. And it's not uncommon to be in conversations around the female exploring where they might be going wrong because their male partner is having shifts and changes in how their body, moves with pleasure. And I've noticed that if I can hold space for these women to explore it for themselves and then just plant a seed and say, what if your husband or your partner has never had this permission to explore their pleasure either? How can you now hold space for them? And if we can help men as well to rewrite what pleasure means for them, because our enjoyment of their sexual energy isn't solely based on how big their penis is, how hard it can get. It's the energy and it's the exchange between the two. And especially in a world where things like antidepressants are more and more common, right? Things like erectile dysfunction are more and more common. So how can we honor the sex center in our partners in the same way we desire for it to be honored within ourselves? Take away any expectation that it should look a certain way, perform a certain way, because a soft cock still feels pleasure, right? And we can help the men in our lives rewrite, the neurotransmitters in their brain around what pleasure feels like for them, what they're worthy of receiving. And I tell you what, if a man feels good even when he's not performing and you're the partner holding space for him, right? The depth of intimacy that can start to be experienced in that relationship is going to be completely new, completely transformative, because this man now is understanding himself more. And you're both riding it together.
And it's beautiful. As working in the medical field, so as a urologist, I deal with a lot of erectile dysfunction, female pain with sex, things like that. And I mean, I can't tell you the number of men who if their wife is, whether they're at the appointment with them or not, if their wife is supportive of their erectile dysfunction, let's find different ways of being intimate. You can still get a man to orgasm with a soft cock. Call it a vanilla soft serve. That's what I call it.
I
But
borrow that one.
right? It's great. So, you can still get a man to climax with that. He can still get you to climax without penetrating you. There are so many levels of intimacy, and that's where massages and making out and all of those other things come into play. And I just see such a difference in my men who have erectile dysfunction, who come in and they're like, you know what, I would like to try that next step. Viagra didn't work for me, but let's try that injection. Or yeah, I might be open to a penis pump or something, because their wife or their female partner, male partner, whatever, is so supportive of them finding whatever avenue works for them. And then I have other men who come in who, my wife doesn't want me taking those pills because it might be bad for my heart. My partner doesn't want me using injections because needles are scary. My partner doesn't want me masturbating because if I can't have sex with them, then I shouldn't be masturbating, or all of these things. And the difference in their self-love, their energy, their confidence is so vastly different that I think you're right. If we can hold space for each other, regardless, men, women, whatever, like if you can hold space for your partner to figure out how they feel good best, then you can feel good best together.
Yeah.
I think it's
absolutely.
so beautiful.
And like the women's example too is like whether you're wet or not doesn't mean you're turned on or not, right? The body's physiological experience and the hormones that are, activated or depleted or whatever, you are having an experience that's physiological, but your turn on and your desire for intimacy and touch and sex, that they can be correlated, or they can be completely different experiences. And we get to give that permission. We get to be moving through menopause and noticing we don't self-lubricate and explore. I call it have a lube party. Like get different brands. Figure out what feels good. Do you need an oil base? Do you need a water base? Is the anal lube the best one for vaginal because it's thicker, right? And you need that thicker, more visceral experience. Like just go explore. It shouldn't be this is wrong with me, I need to fix it. It should be, this is shifted within me. I'm holding myself through the transition with curiosity and excitement to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what you're saying about, moving into the menopause part of it, because that is such a big thing for our ladies, is there are things that we can do to help you enjoy sex again, to not have pain with sex, to have the lubrication, both medically and bodywork wise. I can put you on some vaginal estrogen that increases the health of the tissues down there and the elasticity and the lubrication. You can use lube. You can use systemic hormone therapy. There's all of those different things. You can do the yogas and stuff to keep your balance and your strength and your stamina, your pelvic floor health. There's so many different things that we can help you through, that living inside of a little box and not wanting to talk about it just is so unhealthy and so unfair to you, because there are so many things that we can do to help.
There really is. And my body of work being based in like the energetics of the body as well. If everyone who listens to this podcast just gets onto Google and Googles the energy meridians in the body, they will get a map of the way in which energy moves through their body. And they will see that a meridian that starts on their big toe travels up their legs, through the pelvis, through the breast and the heart, and to the top of the head, right? So if the body is not responding to a turn on in the ways it did when it was 20, right? And we're not, feeling excitement in our body, we're not self-lubricating, maybe we just need to bring the rest of the body online. Like I go and get massages now, and when my foot is touched in certain places, and I know that, like I instantly feel that moving into my pelvis. I have in the last year or two found like nipple stimulation incredibly arousing, where I can have that energetic release from nipple stimulation because of the way in which energy moves through the body. So if
Mm-hmm.
we're limiting ourselves and our pleasure to it only happens in the sex center,
Yeah.
then gosh, we've limited ourselves immensely. It moves through us entirely. It's so going and exploring those energy meridians, allowing yourself to give self-touch in the shower or before bed, or inviting your partner to just, you know, trace those meridians, you know, have a little map beside the bed and just lightly touch and trace where those things are in the body. Bring the body online energetically, and you will find another layer of pleasure, of
And what a fun
turn.
date night.
Like, absolutely.
Google it up, have it on the computer, and get some oils or some lotions going and massage and figure out what works for you and your partner. How fun is that?
It is so fun. And
I love that.
if you're a health nut and you're like all into lymphatic massage, you will also naturally be giving each other a lymphatic massage, because the lymphatic system and the energy meridians very closely correlate. So if you're following those meridians, you're also draining the lymphatic. So, you know,
awesome.
Health hack.
That's it is very helpful for many things. That's great. Yeah. And you know, the other thing that pops into my head is hearing women who have faked orgasms for years because they did it this one time and it made their husband so excited and happy, and they just keep faking it. And I just feel so sad for them. Like, I want you to have your orgasm. So explore yourself, find your way. And then the communicating to your partner can be difficult, especially if you have been faking it. But you need to get to that level of being able to find your own pleasure first so that you can communicate it, I think is so important.
Yeah. So many women who fake it, you know, and have done so because of this people pleaser part of them. That's like, oh, I don't want them to feel bad to learn that I've been faking it.
Yeah.
I feel collectively we are coming to a point, and 2025 is a 9-year. So we're coming into a burn all the shit that isn't serving us down year.
I love that.
And we might be in relationships that don't light us up. And we might be trying to protect and keep what we have, knowing that it doesn't make us feel good. And if we turn to our partner and say, honey, I'm really needing to honor my pleasure and I'm noticing so much disconnection from it. I haven't experienced an orgasm in a really long time, and I know that you think I have, but I want to be open and I want to be honest and I want to explore myself with you by my side. You are going to find out really quickly what kind of partner you have. Yeah. Do you have a partner who might be upset and hurt but willing to grow with you? Or do you have a partner that's like, blame, this is all on you, that's it, this is crap, I'm out of here, you know? And vulnerability doesn't promise that things are going to be easy and not bumpy. But if the truth of you can start to own it, right, and let the things that need to fall away, you will learn what needs to be with you and what doesn't. And coming out the other side of it, you know, if you've got the partner that's growing with you, you've got no idea what you're growing into. And if you've got the partner that can't handle the truth and needs to fall away, as you keep growing yourself, you're going to rise into the version of self ready for potentially a new partnership that actually does know how to hold and honor you. And if we can get true with ourselves, it's so important.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. What an amazing topic to talk about today. And you're so knowledgeable and great at speaking about this. So I'm so happy to have had you on today. Thank you so much for coming. For anybody that's listening, again, this is Jo Goddard. And in the show notes, we will put some links so you can find her and find more information about the things that she's been talking about today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. It's been a blast.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time on Between the Sheets. All right. Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you for listening and spending time with me today. You can catch new episodes of Between the Sheets every Wednesday, because what better way to add some spice to your life than to have a new podcast on Hump Day? We will continue to explore common, uncommon, and taboo topics related to sexual health and wellness. Please send any comments, questions, or stories to podcastbetweenthesheets@gmail.com. That's all one word, podcastbetweenthesheets@gmail.com. Have a great day. And remember how important it is to discuss these topics with your friends, your family, and of course your partners. In fact, you can like, follow, and share this podcast so they can see it too. See you next time for more sexual health topics between the sheets.